Hello, and welcome to LAN Professional's Putty installation tutorial video. This video will be following the instructions given in Appendix B1 from your Resource Appendices link. However, you may still reference the appendix later if needed. Before you begin your hands-on training, a Cisco Remote Hands-On Lab Access Activation email will be sent out to you. This email will contain the information needed for your hands-on training, such as the day you will access your devices, the links you will need to download your Putty applications, and also your login credentials. We will begin first with downloading your Putty Telnet client, which is the application that will establish your connection. Once your Putty application downloads completely, locate the download manager for that particular internet browser, then right-click and click on Show in Folder. Copy the application you just downloaded, and on the left-hand side, locate the desktop. Right-click on the desktop background and click on New Folder and label this folder Putty. Open up your folder and paste in the Putty application. Once this is complete, repeat the same process for your Putty Connection Manager. Click on the Putty Connection Manager icon. Then again, once it's completed, right-click on the application and click in Show in Folder. Copy this application and move it to the Putty folder you just created. This will make it easier to install and configure your Putty applications. Now run your first Putty application that you just downloaded. Click on the Run button and you should see a Putty configuration window appear. Once this is done, go ahead and exit out. Now we will begin to install your Putty Connection Manager. So go ahead and select English as your default language for installation. Click Next, and after reading the licensing agreement, accept the agreement and click Next. It is recommended that you accept the default location for your Putty installation and uncheck the French translation box for select components. Then click on the Next button. Now simply click Next and accept the default parameters. Then click on the Install button, and once it completely installs, click on the Finish. Then your Putty Connection Manager will ask you to specify the location for your Putty connections. So click on the folder towards the right. Then locate the desktop on the left-hand side and open up your Putty folder. Then locate and open your Putty application. After the location has been specified, click on the OK button and your Putty Connection Manager will open up. A known issue of Putty occurs when a user attempts to access Putty Connection Manager for the first time. An error message will appear that says that Putty CM log file is denied. If you receive this error message, click on the OK button and close out the Notepad file. Then right-click on your Putty Connection Manager application and then click on Run as Administrator. And your Putty Connection Manager should open up. Now that your Putty Connection Manager screen is open, the first thing you need to do is create your database, which will store your login and host information. To create your database, click on the File, then New, Database. In the Name section, go ahead and label your database CWA Pod, which is your Certified WAN Administrator Pod. Once you have typed in the name correctly, click on the Create Database button, and you'll see the database created over on the right-hand side. Now that your database has been created, the next thing you will need to do is create your connections, which will establish the different terminal sessions for your 3 different devices. To create a connection, simply right-click on the Telnet folder. Then select New, Connection. A connection configuration window will appear. In the name box, type in R1, as this will be the connection for your first router. In the host section, type in the server address which was provided in the Lab Access activation email. So simply type in gateway.lanwanprofessional.com. Your protocol will remain as Telnet, and your port number will also be specified in the same email. Next, you will need to check the box to enable Login Macro mode. Then click on the Login Macro options towards the left-hand side. In the Auto Connect credentials, you'll type in your username and password, which was sent to you in that lab access activation email as well. Then check the box to enable post-login commands. In the first box, type in R1. Once you have entered in the appropriate information, click the Apply button and then hit OK, and you should see your first connection appear on the right-hand side. Repeat these steps for your Router 2 and Router 3 connections. However, you'll change the alias names from R1 to R2 or R3 respectively, and the same goes for the commands. Once you have all three of your connections established, then you should be able to connect to each one of your routers by double-clicking on the icons to the right. So let's begin by accessing your Router 1. Double-click on the R1 icon. If you are prompted to run the Putty.exe application, then go ahead and click on the Run button. As you can see, your username and password have been entered automatically, and also the post login command has been entered as well. When you see that your account support has been opened, try hitting the Enter key a few times. If your router has no configuration, you'll be prompted to enter the initial configuration dialog. From here, you can simply press the Ctrl+C keys or type in No and hit Enter. It would ask you if you want to terminate auto install. Type in yes and enter. Then you must press return to log into the router. You will see a large amount of output being displayed on the screen. This is the login process. Wait about 30 seconds and then try hitting enter a few times. And you should see a router prompt with a greater than sign appear. With this prompt, you are now ready to configure your devices.